Happy Friday, everybody. Hey, I'm going to give you a second to jump on, but I am going to talk about, I posted earlier in the, again, morning thoughts, or it's actually been over the last few days that this has been very strongly on my heart, so I feel led to share. And I'm going to touch on it briefly now, and then I decided I'm actually going to do a Zoom and invite anybody who wants to participate to join us, and I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper because truly this is one of the most critical aspects to becoming the next best version of yourself. Whether you're a woman that is wanting to release pounds and you've felt frustrated, you don't know where to start, or you've maybe seen some success and you feel like you continually backtrack, this is one of those critical issues that we don't recognize. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the two challenges. And when I look to the left, I'm just looking at my notes because there is so much behind this that I wanted to make sure I covered the main points today. And then I'm going to invite you to join me on the Zoom training for next week. And we'll go over it in a little bit more detail so that it really, you can leave that call feeling empowered to actually be able to do something about the excuses that are holding you back. Now, you might be offended by the word excuse. And I'm going to challenge you, said with tough love, if you are offended by the word excuse, or you feel like your circumstance is somehow different or unique or special, and that's why you haven't gotten to where you want to be, then I'm going to encourage you, that probably is wrapped in a bunch of excuses, not to be offensive, but because truth is the only way to get to the next best version of yourself and being able to listen to it. But I will tell you why it's so hard to hear. All right. So again, I'm going to go over just kind of briefly the main points today, and then I invite you to join me. Just message below, comment below if you want to be part of the Zoom training next week, where we'll go into more details, because I want to give you practical tools on things that you can start doing right away to get to that next level of your best, right? And again, whether that is wanting to release the pounds, or maybe you want to get stronger as a parent, there's something that you want to do and you can't figure out why you haven't been able to, right? So again, results, I'm looking at my notes. Results are at the end of the excuses. The first thing that is required to even understand that is being able to take radical responsibility, 100% radical ownership in your choices, in where you're at as you are. And there's very valid reasons. On some level, it's not really your fault if you haven't yet gotten there, right? The ability to do that, because you can't fix something you don't recognize as a challenge, right? So it's being open to understanding what might be happening. And the two biggest challenges that we need to overcome first, before we can even recognize that we have excuses, is to work on our self-confidence and our self-worth. Because we can not take, hi Marie, comment below if you're watching live or if you're watching replay so I can shout out and say hi. We cannot hold the space to take a radical approach to ownership if we are not yet confident and secure enough in who we are. And so that's one of the things I'll teach on more when we do the live Zoom call next week. If you want to be part of that, you can message below, because there's so many segments below that. But know that for today, the first challenge to overcome in being able to recognize excuses and get beyond them so that you can achieve the results you want is being able to take 100% radical ownership. And the reason that is a challenge for so many people, and they don't even recognize sometimes that they aren't, like, you could be taking radical ownership in this aspect of life, right? But in this aspect over here, you struggle to take ownership. There's reasons for that, and there's ways to work beyond it. So I'm going to share some more in-depth tools that you can use in next week's live. You will need to register. We'll do it on Zoom so that I can interact with you more and answer questions live while we're there as well. The second challenge to overcome, first, is understanding that you need to take 100% radical ownership. The second is that most people have held on to their excuses so tightly and for so long that it has become their reasons and their personal truths. They've held on to them for so long that it's become their truth, that they have a blind spot to even be able to recognize that it is an excuse. And again, there is more steps that you can take, which we'll go over more detail in the Zoom call on how to recognize that. But it really, to some extent, comes down to science. Our minds, our brains, there's tons of research that will support this, are designed to protect ourselves. So if we have built up a truth in our mind, and there's so many variables to that, I'm trying to keep this somewhat short today, but there's so many variables to that. But if we have designed a truth or a reasoning as to why we're not where we want to be yet, even if we say we want it. And I'll go back to the example of a woman that really wants to release some pounds because she doesn't like how she feels. She feels uncomfortable in her own skin. I know because I've been there. Hi, Crystal. So she really wants to release the pounds, but yet she continues to get stuck. And so part of the truth that she has made to protect herself sometimes is that she doesn't have time, or that she's doing the right thing by taking care of everyone else first. Remember, I've been talking about we need to flip that paradigm, but that, again, we'll go in more detail on next week's live Zoom call that you can register for. So those truths, though, our brain is designed to keep us safe, and what is known is safer than what is unknown, right? So as much as we might feel uncomfortable in our own skin, as much as we might not like to shop because we're afraid that we're going to have to go into that next size. The reason I can talk this way is because I've been there, done that. Woman, sister, I've been there, done that. I get it, right? So we make reasoning as to why we're not there, right? So why would, the next part of this is, why would someone articulate what they want to change, but then not effectively or consistently take action towards it? And the first, you hear this all the time, and I have definitely said this before, love the hearts and thumbs up, thank you, is that one, you'll hear you don't want it bad enough, right? Which is kind of hard to hear because you're like, no, I really do want it bad. But it goes back to our brain is designed to keep us safe. So it is that balance behind, even though it is painful to feel like you're going to show up at a family event and be criticized for your size or weight, or even like I talk about thought bubbles, even if it's not someone articulating that to you, you put thought bubbles around them and like, oh, cousin Susie's probably comparing me. She eats whatever she wants and she's thin and blah, blah. And it's a really uncomfortable, right? And we know that that's uncomfortable. However, how we have always done things, like for example, if you've made the choices that you've made that have led to you holding on to excess weight for whatever reason, if you've made those choices for the last 10 years, 5 years, even if it's only been 2 years, that is what is known to your brain. So on some level that is comfortable, and on some level that is serving you. And therefore your brain wants to create reasoning for why you're there. And so part of that is that when we create those reasonings, we then need to start to, how do we correct that? We need to be mindful. So why would someone, kind of regrouping real quick or recapping this part real quick, why would someone articulate that they want to do something and then not consistently work at achieving it? Because we have to become aware of the fact that it is a matter of wanting it bad enough, but it is also a matter of balancing it with what our brain knows to be comfortable and true. So our brain literally needs to get so uncomfortable and so almost, I want to say the word disgusted with how we feel. Or like I was saying the other day at that bottom of the shower moment, right? Where we're just like, enough is enough. Something has got to change. Like you have to so like earnestly feel that way, right? Like deep in your gut that you want to make that change. And you have to almost hold on to that moment so that you consistently take action. Because the other challenge is, and Gay Hendricks talks about this in his book, Big Leap, is that our brain, because it's designed to be safe, is that, and I've seen this over coaching, hundreds, thousands of women, but hundreds of women truly transforming over the last, decade or more, is that we might have a season of success. And in that season, a lot of new things are happening that are uncomfortable, right? I've had women come to me and tell me that they're getting attention they're not used to getting. And that's uncomfortable, right? They felt because their confidence does not yet match their physical appearance, it's uncomfortable to get attention that they're not used to getting, right? It was easier to hide behind the weight. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but I'm telling you, I've had many women come to me and tell me that, right? Or they've got a spouse or a significant other that is not comfortable with the new version of them. And so on some level, again, our brain, if we don't get intentional, if we don't do the hard inner work, we will continue to yo-yo and spiral or continue to feel frustrated because we're not getting the results we want. And so on some level, we might have a season of success, and maybe you did it the healthy and right way, right? Because it is more often the case when we do something that's unhealthy or a quick fix, it'll be short-lived and all that kind of stuff. In all of my programs, we talk about the fact that, true health, fitness, strength is based on longevity. It is a marathon, not a sprint. We definitely use sprints to regroup, break plateaus, refocus, all the things, but we always keep that long-term marathon perspective in mind. It is our nature. Again, hi Doreen, hi Rebecca, thumbs up or type live if you're watching it live or replay if you watch it later. So our brain is also designed to, if this new version of us gets uncomfortable, back here, I know it sounds crazy, but back here was more comfortable than the new discomfort of getting noticed, of getting like a new level of confidence where it's like you step out and you step up in the boardroom and you're talking and you're interacting and it feels good, but that stinking thinking voice behind you, if you're not mindful, is like, you're not this good. You don't have this yet because you haven't done the inner work to match the result that you're achieving. Make sense? So what do you do with all of this? And again, this is just brief overviews. Next week, I'm going to do a live Zoom. You're invited to join. Just post below if you want it, or you can direct message me, and I'll get you connected so that you can get on the live Zoom where I'll go through these in more detail and give you actionable steps to take. Sound good? So what do you do with all this? The first step is, hi Carmen, hi Amanda. The first step is to choose to be mindful, right? Like I was saying in the beginning, a lot of times it's almost like again, 100% ownership, but to some extent you can't fix what you're not aware of. So it starts with, if you feel blocked, if you know that you want to achieve a certain goal and you're not sure why you haven't gotten there, or you get frustrated. Sometimes I hear women tell me like, I just don't understand why I can't do this. I just don't understand why I'm not consistent with this. And if you hear yourself saying that, it starts with being mindful. There is something going on in the internal work that is required to do when you want to be the next best version of yourself, whether it's releasing 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, getting to that next level of service in your family, getting to that next level of serving in your community or in your business or on your job. It requires consistently doing the inner work over time, and it starts with being mindful. So I want to forewarn you, you may not see your excuses. It's very likely that you don't, because that mental work of your excuses have served you and they've become your reasoning that you have held on to for so long, it's become your truths. And then literally your brain is working to find evidence to support that truth. So for example, sure, it's easy for you. You've always, you live and breathe fitness. It's easy for you. Well, no, sister. When I started out, I was in corporate America, single mom, handling my stuff. I had a bottom of the shower moment that made it more important for me to find the time to do the work. And I stumbled upon, by God's grace, the fact that I had a lot more mental work to do than I did. Well, and I had a lot of physical work to do too, but the mental work is what saved me. The mental work is why I'm here today. 100% the mental work is why I'm here today. Or you see someone and they're like, well, I work really hard. I'm working 10 to 12 hour days. Whether you're a guy or a girl, I know plenty of people, whether it be, female doctors or, male doctors, whatever, that, female doctors that have the family, work 10, 12 hours, work night shifts, whatever. They find the reason why this is so important to them to live healthy and fit and be consistent. And so they do the work, right? or men that work, hard, or women too, I'm sure, not within my immediate circle, but, do hard physical work all day long, right? I know more men that do that than women, I guess, right now at this point in my life, that do hard physical labor all day long. And their excuse might be, well, I work hard all day long. Okay. I know plenty of people that are in hard physical work all day long, but they make the time because their why became more powerful than the discomfort of where they're at, than the excuse of, well, I work hard all day long. Again, it's the balance, right? You might also realize that you have an excuse or a truth that you hold too tightly if you get defensive about being open to whether or not why you aren't where you are has an excuse or a story that you've told yourself. And sister, please understand, I am just as guilty of excuses or stories, and that's why it's so important to get connected in the right aspect of each life with people that are in the arena with you. And we talk about that in other sources and other videos, so that they can help show you where you're telling yourself a lie or making an excuse, or you're holding on to something that you have created as your truth, but you truly could do better, right? So it's important to find the right people, and that's a whole nother topic too. There are people that don't belong in that inner space. There are people that don't get a voice. There are people that don't get an opinion. Not everyone gets an opinion in your life, right? Not everyone gets to have a voice in your life. There's a specific process to choose wisely who should be in your inner circle. We talk about that too in my other program. But when you find those right people, and a lot of times, yes, it is about investing in coaching. If you can have a shorter distance between where you are now and the result you want to achieve by investing in a program and a coach that has already been there, done that, and proven to be able to help other women do the same, is that investment worth it to you? If you can take less time to get to the end result than you would doing it on your own? Of course. If it's not, then okay. This third is so sometimes being caught up in our excuses is if you compare and look for reasons. I already kind of talked about that. I jumped my little notes. If you compare your reasons with why someone else is successful and you are not. If you look at somebody else's success and think, okay, well, they don't have 3 kids at home. They haven't had 5 babies. They aren't working full time and homeschooling and doing that. Like, don't get me wrong, sister. I know all those things are challenging. I'm saying there are plenty of examples of successes that have circumstances the same or even more challenging than you that have achieved the results they want. And there isn't anything special or unique about those people other than the desire, the tools, getting with the right people, all the things. They just did the work. They found the resources and did the hard work. So with that, like I said, if you want to join next week on the live Zoom call, you can post up below, or however, I'm going to send this out in a couple formats, email back, post below, whatever the case may be. Share, tag with another woman that you think would be helped by this, and we'll go into more action steps that you can take. And then, of course, this is the reality is this is hard stuff, and this is the work that is required to truly get to your next level of best. Whether it's releasing pounds or that next level of best in business, serving your family, serving at your work, in your own personal business, whatever the case may be. And so this is the hard work that we're also going to be doing in my upcoming program. So next week, the Zoom call is open to all. I encourage you, post below, let me know, or send me a direct message, and I'll make sure that you get in on that and share with whoever you think might be helped with this too. All right? Talk soon, guys. Love you guys. Bye.